Alright guys, Corey Margera here, and what I want to do right now is do a complete reboot of why I thought Raw was better than SmackDown during the Ruthless Aggression era, more specifically during 2002 to 2004. Now before I get on to the topic at hand here, I just gotta put over Max Landis's movie Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. Now, if you guys have not seen this and you actually have a sense of humor, you're not like all the other marks on the internet who are just one-dimensional faggots and child abortions, who just whine about five-star matches and shit like that, I definitely recommend giving this movie a shot. This movie is very funny. It's basically a roast of Triple H, just a complete roast, a complete burial of Triple H. Basically his entire career, from when he was, Hunter Hearst Helmsley all the way up until he became the COO of WWE. Now, this movie, Max Landis does a very fantastic job with this movie. It's hilarious. Got a whole bunch of fucking hot chicks in this movie. I pretty much fuck them all. Hopefully, I know they have to be over 18 because I'm not trying to get fucking the Michael Jackson R. Kelly treatment here, and basically the movie was made 4 years ago, back in 2015. It's now 2019. So if they weren't of age then, I know they're of age now. So I don't give a fuck. Don't try to give me the Michael Jackson R. Kelly treatment. It's a great roast on Triple H. A very funny film. You have some cameo appearances by Macaulay Culkin, Seth Green, Josh Peck, Christopher Daniels even shows up in the movie, in the crowd, and also Bill Goldberg at the end. So check it out. It's real fucking funny. It's free. It's here on YouTube. Definitely check out that video. Alright, now back on to the topic at hand here. Why was Raw better than SmackDown during the early part of the Ruthless Aggression era? Or in my opinion, really, it was better than SmackDown during the entire Ruthless Aggression era, with the exception of 2007. Because SmackDown really sucked from 2002 to 2006, in my opinion. It really was the overrated show.
What is your nickname?
I laid it on my noggin.
If you're not there, friends, that means one thing, that you aren't my friend. I am your
It's the guy that thinks he's a rapper.
I bet you're wondering why I got you back here, Michael. I feel stronger. What does everybody call you?
God. Yo, God, you're dealing with the gauze now, man. I know you don't cut your own yard, but I do believe that is a lawnmower.
I know what a lawnmower is, but I can see it's a...
Mr. America, are you Hulk Hogan?
No.
No, Eddie. Friends don't shake hands.
I listen to Big. Biggie told me what beef is. Yo, we shouldn't do this chopping up toothbrush straight from the floor. You're dealing with the gauze.
We are Mexicans, come on! Laugh about us!
Friends got a hug.
Everyone wants to talk about the SmackDown 6. Everyone wants to talk about, what about Triple H's reign of terror and all that. But I'm here to break it down for you like no one else can, because I'm the fucking taste god and I'm the best at this. So sit back. If you're in the car listening to this in the car, turn the volume up. If you're at home watching this on your laptop or on your phone, get some fucking popcorn. Get some fucking drinks, because we're about to do this right. It has become a smarkish myth that SmackDown was better than Raw during the Ruthless Aggression era, more particularly the years of 2002 to 2004. However, what people won't tell you is how shitty SmackDown was, and how a lot of storylines were really gay really cheesy, really just corny as hell, and why Raw actually had the edgier storylines, more particularly, again, from 2002 to 2004, because Raw, number one, unlike SmackDown, was always TV 14 compared to SmackDown's PG.
I laid it on my noggin.
You know, but it's just a rating, it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean that there were better matches and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Alright, know the role and shut the mouth. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Now, I mean, me, in my opinion, personally, I always liked Raw better. Always. You know, I never thought SmackDown was better than Raw. Not even during 99 to 2001. And I liked SmackDown during those years. SmackDown was fucking awesome during 1999 to 2001. You know, early 2002 before the brand split. But it was always, in my opinion, the B show. And it will always remain the B show. No matter what people like the Lex Man say, no matter what all these other nerdy little smarks and SJWs on the internet will tell you, it will always be the B show. Now, you know, when SmackDown, and this was actually a cheap shot, I don't know why they decided to do this. You know, after SummerSlam 2002, they had Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman basically like sign a contract which made them, you know, wrestle exclusively for SmackDown. As you know, as Brock Lesnar was the WWE champion, he had beat The Rock SummerSlam 2002, and so he basically signed a contract with Stephanie McMahon. This is all kayfabe, by the way, but you know, they decided to do this creatively behind the scenes. I don't know why. I don't know why you would take the WWE Championship, you know, the flagship title, and make it exclusive to SmackDown. I don't know what the thought process was. Maybe to try to make it seem like SmackDown could compete with Raw. And after watching a few Paul Heyman shoot interviews, that's pretty much the gist of it, because SmackDown almost got canceled. So they had to do something to make SmackDown special. However, I thought this was a terrible idea. But the saving grace starts on September 2nd, 2002. Eric Bischoff awards Triple H the World Heavyweight Championship. So now Raw has its own World Champion. Now this is actually going to be startup number one, because this is one of the reasons why I thought Raw was better than SmackDown during this period. Raw had Eric Bischoff, who was a great heel general manager. Say what you will about the man, I don't like him personally. I'm not a fan of Eric Bischoff on a personal level, but I will say that he is one of the greatest heels in all of wrestling. The guy can generate heat like no other. He is fantastic when it comes to being the heel owner. In my opinion, he's even better than Vince McMahon when it comes to that. Because Vince McMahon at times can be likable as a heel. Eric Bischoff, I think he's a complete piece of shit. There's nothing likable about Eric Bischoff at all, except for his cool leather jackets that he wears. Aside from that, he's a piece of shit. And when you have the guy who almost put Vince McMahon out of business, when WCW almost put the WWF out of business during the mid to late 90s, and he is now your Raw general manager, that to me is a lot more impactful than some skanky bitch like Stephanie McMahon as the SmackDown general manager. Now, I don't want to hear any shit. I don't want to hear any fucking lip from the feminists and all these stupid faggots out there that think Stephanie McMahon is great. She's not great. She's overrated. She never was great. As a matter of fact, what really pisses me off too is how they tried to paint Stephanie McMahon as, you know, a babyface during the later part of 2003 when she was feuding with Vince McMahon, her father. You know, and they were trying to paint her as the babyface and Vince McMahon as the heel. And I thought that was just completely forced. I thought it was shitty. They tried to promote Stephanie McMahon as this independent woman type thing, and I thought it was gay. I thought it was completely terrible. It was awful. Fucking sucked. So that's one reason why Raw is better than SmackDown. Eric Bischoff was a way better general manager than Stephanie McMahon. Fact. not an opinion. That is a scientifically proven fact. In a court of law, you cannot debate that. I don't want to hear anyone's gay little subjective opinion. You cannot debate that. Eric Bischoff is better than Stephanie McMahon. Get over it. Deal with it. Eat a dick. Now, people want to bring up Triple H and the Reign of Terror. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't a fan of that. You know, even though I thought Evolution was a great heel stable, I thought that the Triple H Reign of Terror was completely unneeded. They were trying to do what the Horsemen did back in the day. And, you know, it's by this point, it's 2002, 2003. Wrestling has gone beyond that. You can't have a heel completely dominate like that to the point of no return, especially in a company where fans aren't used to that type of shit. You could get away with that type of shit in WCW, where the heels were more over with the fans a lot of the time. I mean, even with the NWO, go back and watch Nitro from back in the day. The NWO was hugely, insanely over. You know, the four horsemen were insanely over. But in the WWE, babyfaces, you know, anti-heroes, they're the ones that make the money, not the heels. So I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to keep the belt on Triple H for that long, have him win every single fucking feud, have everybody fucking cheat. You know, that's one thing that I will say. At least we didn't get that shit on SmackDown. You know, we had like Brock Lesnar hold the belt, then Big Show, then Kurt Angle. We had other people in the contender spot like Undertaker and stuff like that. But, you know, that doesn't make SmackDown better in my opinion. Because let's start from this. Big Show. Who the fuck cares about the Big Show? I mean, who the fuck was actually cheering for the Big Show in 2002, 2003? Who actually was a fan of this guy? I mean, the Big Show had not been relevant, in my opinion, since the year 2000. You know, I would even argue since really 99, 2000, and even he was more over in WCW than he ever was in the WWF, WWE. I mean, so we can knock Big Show right off that. I don't care about Big Show. Yeah, he's in the main event, but who cares? Let's see. Brock Lesnar. Cool. I like Brock Lesnar. I liked him at the time anyway. You know, but let's look at how they really forced Brock Lesnar to be a cheesy babyface. They had to turn him a heel again later that year in 2003 because his babyface run was really starting to get cheesy.
I laid it on my noggin.
You know, even people on the internet made fun of Brock Lesnar at the time. You know, saying some of these corny promos like, I got hit on my noggin at WrestleMania 19. It was just some real cheesy, hokey shit. It just proves that Paul Heyman really lost his touch after 2001. And that's a fact. I don't want to hear anyone say Paul Heyman is still the man. No, he's not. He was the man during the 90s. He was the man back in the day, too. Back when he was in AWA, he was a great manager. You know, Paul E. Dangerously. Who could forget that great shit? But after 2001, 2002, he lost his touch. The only people who still thought he had it were the Smarks.
I laid it on my noggin.
I mean, I got hit on my noggin. Like, who wrote that shit? Was that Paul Heyman? Who the fuck wrote that shit? Was that Bruce Pritchard or something? Who the fuck wrote that gay shit? Seriously. And it was just real cheesy. They should have kept Brock Lesnar as an anti-hero. You know, when Paul Heyman portrayed Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 2002, they should have portrayed him as like this vengeful guy. He wants to get revenge on Paul Heyman, which they did for a while. They did. But then once he won the title after WrestleMania 19 with Kurt Angle, which in my opinion was an overrated WrestleMania, Trover, Welch, it was an overrated WrestleMania. It got a low buy rate for a reason. It was not as good as you people on the internet say it was. It wasn't the best WrestleMania next to 17. No, it was not. Okay, it's please. We all know WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 14, WrestleMania 10, WrestleMania 17. Those are like high up there. Those are some of the best WrestleManias of all time. WrestleMania 19 was not. So just stop it. Just fucking stop it. But anyway, you know, after, you know, and it was a great match. I will admit the Kurt Angle Brock Lesnar WrestleMania match was really good, solid. Even though he did that shooting star press and he botched it. But, you know, Brock Lesnar was just cutting stupid promos. He was kissing Kurt Angle. They were having like this milk challenge, all these stupid triathlon challenges and stuff.
I'm the champ. Good luck, champ.
It was just real cheesy, hokey shit. It was like, who the fuck wrote that? Was like, did Jim Cornette sneak back into the fucking company and write this shit? Who the fuck wrote this crap? It was gay. Just fucking lame. You know, so that's one reason why Raw was better than SmackDown, because Raw never had any cheesy shit like that. Even if you want to bring up the pose down and the arm wrestling matches that, you know, Triple H and Scott Steiner had, you know, that stuff, you know, it was short-lived, and two, it wasn't as cheesy as that shit. You know, Triple H actually got heat. Neither Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar got heat from those cheesy milk drinking competitions and shit like that. That was gay. So just stop it. Know your role. You have bad taste if you thought that was good. Now, number 2 of why. Actually, this is kind of number 3. Because Raw didn't have any gay shit. But number 3. Raw just had way more of my favorite wrestlers. I mean, from Rob Van Dam, who completely got buried and did not deserve it. I mean, that was bullshit. That was, RVD should have went over Triple H. That's bullshit. I mean, maybe not the first match, maybe not at Unforgiven 2002, but in my opinion, I always thought, especially since Shawn Michaels ended up coming back, not full-time, but close to full-time. He was doing like Raw appearances and stuff. I don't think he was doing house shows at the time, but he was doing, like, he was coming to like almost every Raw, you know, and he was doing pay-per-views. They should have built up a really good feud with Shawn Michaels and RVD. Kind of similar to how Macho Man and DDP had their feud, or Benoit and Booker T had their feud. Each guy, you know, got over, you know, with Macho Man, with his feud with DDP, he helped elevate DDP to the next level, and that's why he became a big star in WCW. That's what should have happened with Shawn Michaels and RVD. I still to this day am disgusted that RVD and HBK, you know, that match on Raw was just a total letdown, and they completely like put RVD in the background, and Triple H interfered in that match, and they did the whole feud again between Hunter and HBK. That disgusted me, you know, and I could see why they did it, because that was a very interesting story, especially since those guys have a lot of history together. But I really thought RVD deserved the rub. That's just my opinion. You know, again, he did not need to go over Triple H right away at Unforgiven 2002, but eventually he should have went over Triple H. Okay? I mean, that just pissed me off. But moving on. RVD was on Raw, one of my favorites of all time, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. You know, you had Booker T, you had Jericho, you had Shawn Michaels coming back, you had Bill Goldberg make his debut in WWE, you know, you had Jeff Hardy, even though he left in 2003, but still, you know, you had, you know, Batista, Evolution, you know, all that shit was going on. You know, you had Stone Cold come back as the co-GM of Raw. That was fucking awesome. I marked out. It was just like, you know, in 1996 when I saw Austin St. John come back to Power Rangers and Power Rangers Zeo as the Gold Ranger. That's exactly how I marked out when Stone Cold Steve Austin came back to the WWE in 2003 on Raw and had that awesome, fucking awesome match with Eric Bischoff at No Way Out 2003. It wasn't a good match. It wasn't a good technical wrestling match, but it was a great all-out brawl, and they had a great story behind it with Bischoff firing Steve Austin back in WCW. It was just great stuff. Great storyline. Nothing like that was on SmackDown. Nothing like that was on SmackDown. Nothing. Just great storytelling. And we got Stone Cold coming back as Raw GM, co-Raw GM, and it was just a great ride. You know, 2003 of Raw was pretty damn good, very underrated. You know, so that's number 3. You know, just in my opinion, better stars, you know, better star power. Oh, and let's not forget Hollywood Rock. Who the fuck could forget Hollywood Rock? Now, granted, Hollywood Rock was on SmackDown for a little bit, but, you know, with his feud with Hogan and stuff for No Way Out 2003. But then he came back to Raw. And then he was doing, like, stuff that was even funnier than what he was doing on SmackDown. I mean, he was just tearing Toronto a new asshole. To run his mouth all over you mother Canuckers. I mean, that was just epic stuff. The Rock was a great heel. Excellent fucking heel. You know, you had Scott Steiner come back, which, granted, I will admit, Scott Steiner came back. He was not ready. He was in horrible ring shape. But I'm a huge mark for Scott Steiner. I don't give a shit. You know, I just wish, you know, and that's another thing Triple H didn't do. He didn't take care of Scott Steiner in the ring. You know, he sandbagged him. Fuck you, Triple H, for that. Piece of shit faggot. But, you know, Raw just had more wrestlers that I liked and cared about. SmackDown, you had Guerrero and Benoit. It was like, You had Edge, who at the time wasn't even cool yet. This is before he became the Rated R superstar. I mean, the only thing he did that was really cool was shave Kurt Angle bald at Judgment Day 2002. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But he's still a mid-carder. You know, I mean, Edge needs to, like, do something cool to, like, make us forget about Edge and Christian. Kind of like how Justin Timberlake, he made us forget about NSYNC. You know, he became a star on his own. No, I'm not a fan of Justin Timberlake, by the way. I'm just using that as an example. But fuck Justin Timberlake. But I'm just using it as an example, because Edge, you know, he ventured out on his own, but he was still the same Edge from the Edge and Christian days. And it was just like, he was making corny jokes, like,
I say Kurt Angle will be red, white, and bald.
Blah blah blah, and like, oh, I'm gonna shave Kurt Angle's head red, white, and bald. It was just so corny, and you know, it was just meh. So, you know, it just didn't do anything for me, you know. But I did like, you know, when he finally became the Rated R superstar. You know, in 2004, when he got drafted to Raw. And I know Edge even said in the shoot interview he didn't want to get drafted to Raw. Man up, buddy. Being drafted to Raw was the best thing that ever happened to your career. Lita was the best thing that ever happened to your career, because once Lita left you and you went back to SmackDown and you went to Vicky Guerrero, your career started to suck again. I'm sorry. I'm just telling the truth. I'm just telling the La Familia storyline. The shit just went downhill. I mean, yeah, he still had some good matches with Batista and The Undertaker, but come on, Edge was not the same cool guy he was in 2005, 2006. I'm just telling it like it is. You know, he was teaming with Rey Mysterio, and that was it. He was just another mid-card guy. You know, overrated. The Smarts overrated him, so... Yeah, and that's just like another thing, you know. I mean, yeah, the SmackDown had the Cruiserweight division, which was pretty cool. You had Rey Mysterio, Tajiri, Ultimo Dragon stuff, you know, all these great Cruiserweights. But, I mean, it was just the only storyline that even made me care about SmackDown, really. You know, aside from the Brock Angle feud, which was good. But the only other storyline that I cared for on SmackDown at the time was the Torrie Wilson, Al Wilson, Dawn Marie storyline. That's the only other storyline I cared about on SmackDown, because that was some good shit. We got some real cool lesbian action out of that. Fucking Torrie and Dawn kissing at that hotel, and you know, that was some good stuff. Whoever wrote that storyline, they should have wrote more storylines for SmackDown, because that was some good shit right there. You know, but I mean, SmackDown just had some weak-ass storylines. People want to talk about the Katie Vick angle. The Katie Vick angle was so fucking short-lived. It dropped after like 2 weeks. Like, after they did that funeral parlor shit, that was the end of that angle. You never saw that shit again. You know, we kept getting shitty angles on SmackDown with Zach Gowen, Stephanie McMahon as a face, all this cheesy shit, Brock Lesnar kissing Kurt Angle, The Undertaker being stale as fuck at that point with the big evil gimmick, and you guys are gonna whine and bitch about Raw and the Katie Vick angle when SmackDown was giving us all that fucking bullshit? Please, give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break, dude. But anyway, you know, Raw just, I mean, the first time I saw Goldberg show up on Raw with that cool Harley Davidson leather jacket and just come on right out and spear The Rock, that was just epic. That was just fucking epic, dude. You know, seeing Kane unmasked for the first time, that was epic. Even though they botched it. I don't know why they told Glenn Jacobs to cut his hair. You know, I don't know why they just didn't put like better makeup on him to make his scars look real. Instead, we got like some fake burnt face that went away the next week. He just washed his face and the burnt scars just went away. Like, what the fuck was that? But, you know, I listen, Kane was getting stale too on Raw. And I'm personally glad that they did the whole unmasking storyline, because then he went crazy. He fucking chokeslammed Eric Bischoff off the Titantron. He tombstoned Linda McMahon. He was just beating the shit out of everyone. RVD, you know, Stone Cold. I mean, he just went crazy after he unmasked. You know, that was some good shit. I don't care what anyone says. The thing is, they kind of botched it, because they should have gave him the world title after he unmasked. You know, he should have been world champion. They should have made it more epic. But, you know, we still got some good shit out of it. You know, some great matches with Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon also came back in 2003 on Raw. You know, he wasn't on SmackDown. He was on Raw, baby. You know, that was some good shit. You know, he had a feud with Eric Bischoff and then Kane. You know, that was just some crazy shit. You know, it was Raw, in my opinion, just had better shit. You know, the Divas were better on fucking Raw. The Divas were better. You know, SmackDown, like, none of the Divas could wrestle on SmackDown. Like, Tori Wilson, she was hot. Dawn Marie was hot. But no one really knew how to wrestle on that show as far as the women. You know, on Raw, you had Trish Stratus, you had Lita. Lita made a comeback finally, and that was epic. You had Victoria, you had Molly Holly. I mean, you just had a lot of great diva action on Raw. Way better than this stupid women's revolution that we have today. Who gives a shit about this gas revolution we have today? You know, like I give a shit about fucking Charlotte and Sasha Banks. And, I don't give a shit. But yeah, Raw was great at the time, man. Raw had just overabundance. And yeah, people want to say, oh, well, Goldberg should have won at the Elimination Chamber at SummerSlam 2003. Yes, I agree. But, you know, I mean, it was what it was. We still got Goldberg versus Triple H at Unforgiven 2003. He beat the shit out of Triple H. That was an underrated match in my opinion. Some people don't like it. I thought it was a good match. You know, I thought it was a decent match. It wasn't the best, but it was a decent match. And even his Survivor Series 2003 match with Triple H was pretty good. So, you know, I personally don't have a problem with it. I know Goldberg's limited in the ring, but I don't care. You know, the motherfucker is devastating. He looks like a bastard. He looks like somebody who will kill you. You know, Goldberg's the fucking man. I don't give a shit what any of the fucking smarks say. I don't give a shit. But yeah, I mean, that's personally why I thought Raw was better than SmackDown from 2002 to 2004. And pretty much the entire Ruthless Aggression era, because even in 2006, Raw was better than SmackDown. I mean, on Raw, you had Edge finally doing cool shit, having sex with Lita on Raw. You know, John Cena and stuff, you know, that was starting to get controversial. He started getting booed at the building. You know, in SmackDown, what did you have? Batista got injured. And you had, like, you had Rey Mysterio as world champion. I mean, give me a fucking break. I mean, yeah, I know they did it because Eddie Guerrero died, but still. I mean, it was lame, dude. So, you know, that's my thoughts on that. Raw was way better than fucking SmackDown during the Ruthless Aggression era, especially 2002 to 2004. Deal with it, accept it, fuck off. And if you have any other things you would like to add, leave them in the comment section. And that's all I have, folks. All right, later.